Okay, great. So we're recording now, and as always, we'll plan to make all of it public. But if anything comes up that you think shouldn't be public, let me know right then. So we'll stop the recording and start another one. And if we don't stop and start, then we'll just plan to make the whole thing public. Sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, great, great. Yeah, as I was just saying, with the tips I sent you about the production and that sort of thing, it just, it started me thinking down more of what we're going to be talking about, in the bigger picture, which is, you sharing with me and the world your vision of where and how you grow, right? Like what your evolution in the world looks like, and conjunction with all the other entities that you're connecting with and co-creating with. And as you transmit that to the world, you're creating it, right? That's
Yeah.
like part of the real like magic of this, is that the recording that we're doing is not recording something that happened in the past. We're recording with the intention of creating the future, from this recording, which is, a cool way to think about it. And, just want to take a moment to honor you and appreciate you that you're here in this position. And you're actually being the first person I'm doing this with the new technology. Exactly. Yeah. This is like,
But being a first.
yeah, this is revolutionary, because after we record today, and we'll talk, more about how we're going to use it and what we're going to do with it and all of that. But thank you for your desire to go to a deeper level of value exchange, so that now I can spend more time with you, in how we're going to do all of this. The consulting part, as you know, is huge, since I'm the only one that knows how all of this works, to be able to convey exactly how to use it all. And since it's not all out there already, everything that I share with you is going to be, from the source, right, of how we're going to do all of this and deal with all this, and the ways to start thinking about it. And we've talked about this, but I want to kind of share this to set the whole context for everything that we're creating. Is, one part of it is what I just described, that we have a system that allows us to speak existence into the world, right? And then pull all these levers and push all these buttons to have everything align the way that it needs to in order to create this, right? And in particular, it comes down to the people finding each other that think the same thing, share the same opinion, right? Because there's so many people that think the same thing about the same thing, and if they just were together, there's more than enough resources amongst them to create it, right? Not any one of them can, but when we come together, it just automatically happens, right? And so, one, you're being a pioneer of what the world will be, because part of how I'm imagining it now and getting ready to speak about it, so you're hearing it kind of for the first time, is that we're literally creating a new reality from our current reality. And they're going to basically be sitting side by side, with people getting to choose how much time they spend in, creating the new reality versus, suffering through the old reality, basically, right? And perpetuating it, right? That's the thing, is that it just keeps getting perpetuated because we're all feeding it. We're all putting gas in our tanks and turning on the electricity and doing all of these things that are, what we think is so horrible, right? So it's like, how do we all come into alignment? What you're doing is you're speaking your reality into existence. And in particular, since you're being a supporter within the realm of empowerment, you're really giving a lot of people the paths to be able to grow, evolve, heal, connect, all of these different things that are so foundational for us existing in life, right? So, what you're doing now, as we've talked about, is you're getting your thoughts out in a way that they can be recorded and organized. And as we've talked about, thank goodness, it's really not too long before the AI will do all the segmenting of the video and the tagging of the video and all of that. So it won't even be a manual process for us anymore. That's That's mere months away for sure, you know, where we're at with technology at this point. It's really just a matter of us doing it. I mean, all the technology is there. We just have to string together the pieces now. And so, you know, and in the meantime, we're still in this manual world that we've existed in. You know, you and I will capture and create all the content that we can today, you know, around the things that are most important to you, the things that you want to share with different people right now. You just froze for a moment, so I just want to make sure, were you hearing me, or was it frozen?
Yeah, I heard everything.
Okay,
Good.
great. So like we talked about, you know, we'll go to your mind map, we'll focus on the different areas that are most important to you. We'll go, you know, into those areas, and then you know, we'll get into essentially the next levels of how you use the system to kind of like pull the levers of reality, right? Because basically what you're doing, this is kind of the summarized way to describe it. So you're speaking, you know, into the world what you want to create, how you want to serve people. You're laying down, here's what I'm offering for whoever resonates with this and whoever wants it, right? In all the different areas that you're creating all of these offers for yourself, right? And there may be places that you really want to support people in their, you know, development or just anything. And you don't do that, but you have a friend that does, and, you know, here's this friend, and then you're, you know, as I shared before, that multiplies, you know, right now, you, as everyone, has a limited number of revenue streams from your products and services that you offer. You'll always have, you know, like a finite number of products and services that you personally are developing. But when you open up your revenue streams to everything else in the world that's being offered to people, and you can earn revenue through anything that you decide that you want to share, then it just, you can see what the difference is in our world of finances, right? But what it comes down to, again, is it comes down to people following your thoughts. You know, they find that and purchase that because they're on your thought, and you've recommended it, and they want to follow you. So it really comes back to how much influence you have over people is kind of what it comes down to. It's kind of like a number of people that are following you, you know, multiplied by like what percentage of them will follow your recommendations. Like, again, these are like the algorithms that are being developed in the system. But I'm sharing it with you so you can understand, you know, what the content that we're creating now, like where this goes in terms of the big picture of how you set yourself up for success within the system and within life. Because again, this is just kind of breaking down the mechanics of life. And the fact is that the people that have the most, you know, influence, whether it's more followers or just very, you know, people that always follow their recommendation, you know, they're the ones that have people make purchasing decisions, you know, again, whether it's for what you're offering or what you're sharing, you know, and that's what drives the evolution in those, you know, people's development, the people that are providing those products and services, right? Like the rate of evolution for you going forward is going to be a function of how influential you are with those that are, you know, following you, how big you're growing your following, how much they care about the things that you're talking with them about, to be able to convert that attention into buying your products, buying your services, you know, going on a retreat. You get what I'm saying? So that's where, when we're thinking about it from that perspective, that's when we can create all of this content to know that what you're doing is you're inspiring people to be with you in the space that you're creating. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the way that you create the influence, so to speak, is you inspire people, and people want more. They want to listen to you, like, oh, she really, I really appreciate what she said about that. Oh, now she put out this new video where she talks about this. Let me see what she's saying about that. Let me send that to my friend. Let me post that on my social media. You get what I'm saying? And so, this is the process that happens in the world. You've seen it, you've been living it, you've been doing it. It's just that we're automating it to such a different degree. And we're also taking all those little pebbles, like social media posts here and social media posts there, and all the ways that we're currently interacting with the world. And we're bringing it all to this central, brain of yours, where you're sharing all of your thought branches, and people can traverse your thought branches and traverse it down to, oh yes, now I want to get this service from Paty. I want to purchase this thing from Paty. You get what I'm saying? So that's essentially, I want to provide all that context so you get, as we're going through, creating the video, what I'm listening for. What I'm listening for is, which audience is she speaking to right now? Like, who's hearing her? The main audiences you want to think about are these prospective clients that we're talking about, somebody that's, but also, like, your friends that would recommend you, your clients that would recommend you, because you will be sharing a lot of this, whether it's through your social media or directly with this person. Hey, I thought you'd really appreciate this. This is what we were talking about last week. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot of this kind of dynamics. I'm not going to go too deep today. We'll go deeper when we go into the whole training and everything. But essentially, you're going to super segment your whole, everyone in your world by, there's this people that care about this, and this people that care about this, and this people that care about this. And you'll be posting things in different areas that people will see on their feed what they care about, right? And that's how the system matches up, interests. So anyways, I know today we're going to capture a whole diverse, bunch of content across all of those areas, but I just wanted to make sure that you're understanding where I'm coming from in terms of my listening to what you're creating and the type of content that I want to make sure you're creating, that in my mind is going to do a really good job of, capturing interest and attention, creating, followers for you around these different types of topics, and then lead to purchasing for you, so you can have a positive feedback loop, that the more energy you're putting into the system, the more revenue that you're getting, the more energy that you can put in, the more revenue you're getting. That's the positive feedback loop we want to create with you and with everyone talked about.
Of course. Yeah. And I can, I'm definitely specific as to, I know who I'm working with, who I'm definitely directing. I do have two audiences per se, but they're all intertwined.
Okay, great. So if is there anything else you want to talk about before you dive in? Because you just kind of tweaked me and I want to hear your audiences and all that. But is there anything else you want to talk about before you start diving into all of that?
No, because I know once I start, I'm going to be like, which is like a good thing it's recorded, because then I just go into my like channeling and spirits like,
that's
like,
perfect.
Okay.
That's really perfect. So I'm bringing up my notes so I can make notes about like timestamps and stuff when you're saying certain things. So hold on just one moment. Okay, perfect. So part of the, I think the last thing I want to say before you start going is, I think there's a certain aspect that I want to share about having a listener like me, because part of what I'm going to recommend, we'll talk about it more again afterwards, but is for you to do an exchange with somebody that, a friend, a colleague that does something, a little bit different, but that your clients would be similar people, and that you're creating really high quality video of like you in action, basically. So I don't know if you have, some of that already, but we'll talk about, like, again, we're essentially, starting this whole packaging process, right? We're packaging your content, and we're creating delivery mechanisms and all of that. So again, I want to let you dive into the content, so I don't want to share more, but I just want to kind of tease with, like, we're going to start to talk about all the different ways that you can create content testimonial videos, you going places, you having exchanges with people. But I just want to say, since we're about to start with me, you know, having an exchange with a person is a really good technique, because then that person is giving a reaction, then that person is like creating like an expectation. They're creating an energetic wave for the audience to ride. They're kind of suggesting, essentially subliminally or overtly, you know, what the audience should be feeling. And so by having a really engaged listener, you know, as you're saying something, it can be a different experience for the audience than you just talking to the camera. You get what I'm saying? Like, you get that
For
extra benefit.
sure. That's what I struggle with social media, because I'm like, there's no that I can't see you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you know, it again, we'll get more into it later, but I just want to set it up because as you're doing this as well, you're, you know, well, we'll get into more of the other aspects. I want you now to fully focus on your content, what you want to share, everything you're ready to lay down. I'm ready to receive it.
I am so grateful. Thank you for being here and coming to learn from me and receive from me. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Paty Mariposa Hernandez, stress and trauma release expert. And what that entails is that I work with you on a holistic level, because trauma and stress are caused by our emotional reaction to something that happens to us. No matter when it happens to us, we're constantly still responding to triggers that can instigate our bodies to respond in fight or flight or freeze response. So I'm here to help educate you to understand what's happening. If you are responding in a stressful response, what does that mean? And how can we help you self-regulate? Because if you're not self-regulating, then you're staying in high stress. And then what happens is that can cause chronic mental health or physical health issues. It's been stated through public health modalities and public health systems that stress is the #1 highly preventable disease, and that causes most of the diseases that we have going on right now. Heart attacks, high cholesterol, diabetes, all of that is primarily caused, not only because, but primarily caused because we remain in high stressful situations. Maybe we're in a relationship that we're not happy in, right? Or we're living in a place that's really uncomfortable or unsafe. Or we're working in a job that we could just really like literally roll over and die and be totally fine, right? Well, that mindset causes stress in our bodies every day. So if you're delaying wanting to go to work every day, well, guess what? That causes anxiety or panic attacks. And if we keep, it's going to eventually wear your heart down or even cause memory challenges. So it really just besets you to learn how to self-regulate, practice these techniques. And these are techniques that I just teach and I offer in our 101 sessions. I have packages. I also have a program. If you just really want to work with me once a week, I have an intensive 3 months. Or if you're like, all right, let's take a little bit easy, 6 months, every other week, whatever flows for you. Or just come in every now and then for an individual session. And all of those are offered virtually because I don't know where I'm going to always be living. And I don't know where you're living. And the beautiful thing is that I do everything in English and Spanish, Espanol. So if your first language is Spanish and you prefer to communicate in that, we'll be able to support you with that.
Awesome, Paty. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I really appreciate that that's, what you're sharing with the world and what you're offering with the world. It's really It's great. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to support you and supporting the world. So that's really great. I think that everything you shared was really good. I'm dismayed. I have to say that it seems like we're having some technical challenges with the lag, with the video. There's little bits of stoppages. I want to do some testing to see if it's happening on my side or it's happening on your side. I want to see if there's something we can fix about it, because it's not giving you the best video, especially when your sound goes off from your mouth. It's not, that's not
Yeah.
it's not what we're going to want. It's not what we're going to want to use. So we're going to have to, let me pause and see what we can do here. Yeah. So I started the recording. Did you start as well? Yeah, so start the recording. Okay, so it's going to record on your computer. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we'll both have a copy, and yeah, we'll see if the quality. But anyways, it looks good now. It's working now. Got a new background. So to answer your questions about the audience relevancy, yes. So we'll redo the other one now, just because I think we'll get better video now, and then you'll do the intro, like you said, for the Reiki therapists, specifically as a different audience. And then, yeah, like we said, we'll go off into all these different directions. We'll look at your mind map. We'll go into your background. Again, all of the different areas that if people wanted to dive deeper, where would they dive? And that's what we're going to create now and going forward. Sound good?
Sounds good. Just writing down the notes so I know. Okay. Take one, done. Okay. This is great. And yeah, I need direction. This I'm like, so new. Okay, so ready to go.
I'm ready. Yeah, so again, thank you, Paty, for all that you're creating in the world, what you've shared already with me about how you're supporting people, and all the different ways that you're supporting people. I'm definitely excited to hear more about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jared, for having me. I am really excited to be here. So as I mentioned, I am a stress and trauma release expert. And what that means is that I come from a trauma-aware perspective. I always ask my clients, what happened to you for you to be where you are right now? Because a lot of times, many of my clients come with presenting problems, depression, anxiety, overwhelm, burnout, procrastination. And all of those are really hidden coping skills of trauma. And a lot of people think, well, yes, I experienced trauma when I was 3 to 5 years old, but I'm now 30 or even 50 years old. How can that still affect me? Well, because the body remembers everything. And so, as part of being a stress and trauma release expert, I bring in complementary modalities. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've been one for over 20 years. I'm a Reiki master teacher, been one for over 10 years. And in between that time, I've been learning a lot of different tools and techniques from Western modalities, psychology, things in that area, all the way to Eastern modalities, Reiki, color therapy, crystals, oils. And I bring them together because science and energy really go hand in hand. The difference is with science, we're always wanting to ask how. And with energy, we're just feel. So if you have a science mind, energy work is going to probably drive you a little bit nutty, yet you're going to feel the results. You're going to experience the benefits, and you're going to really be able to embrace so much more happiness and inner peace. And the people that I really work with, even though anyone can really work with me, but I really enjoy working with other practitioners such as myself who's a therapist, an energy worker, because often we put ourselves last. Self-care, we teach it really well. Many of us don't practice it very well. A lot of times when I complete a goal, I celebrate it, or I'm celebrating it along the way. When I ask my clients, all right, good job, you accomplished that goal. How are you going to celebrate? They just have big eyes. They're like, what do you mean celebrate? Oh, I have to go achieve the next goal. Well, I invite you to celebrate you right now. And there's so many different ways that you can do it. Go outside, take a break, go have a cup of tea, and setting the intention that as you're embracing these moments, that you're also embracing yourself and saying, I love myself, I appreciate myself, and I'm taking some time to honor that.
That's so great. I really, really appreciate you saying that. There's so many things along the way of what you just said that I was, like really resonating with, especially the trauma part when you're mentioning that and the ways that it comes out. I've been tuning in over the last, months deeper and deeper to, ways that I've been dealing with stuff still and ways that things come up for me and all of that. So, different traumatic experiences that I've had and different, patterns that it's created for me and me coming into deeper levels of awareness. So I totally appreciate that you're, working with people on that level. Yeah, that's really awesome that you're doing that. And then, on to what you were sharing with the ways that you support practitioners, inviting people to celebrate. I love it. It's really, really great. It's great that you're doing those things with those, with everybody, that you're creating this energy for people, right? So thank you. That's really, really great.
Yes, of course. And there's so many ways that I love to be of service. I mean, focusing on the virtual is really important because I know not everybody can come in person. And hopefully, we're promoting this and we're talking to people all around the world. And so making it easy for them to access the work that I do is very important. And so I do work throughout the day, even into evenings, because I do have evening clients. And ways that people can work with me is just one-on-one sessions. So it could be random here and there energy healing sessions or a chakra balance. Just be like, okay, I'm coming in for my energy change, right? Just like we take a car in to get an oil change every few months. Well, what about an energy change, right? Flush out all of these energetic shifts that have been coming at us from other people, our jobs, our responsibilities, our stressors. All of that accumulates and it goes somewhere, which is in your body. And that's usually where we feel discomfort, pain, tension. And with an energy healing session, even virtually, you're going to feel that energy release. So those are my one-on-one, like singular. And I also offer it in a package. So that way you're just like, okay, I'm going to get a package. I'm going to get 4 sessions at some point. Yay. And so, you're caught into that. The other ways that I offer is a 3-month or a 6-month coaching and energy healing program. So I'll give you an example. Some clients who come to me, they've been to therapists, they've been through a lot of trauma work, and they really haven't achieved what they want, right? Being able to self-regulate on a regular basis, right? They have the cognitive tools maybe to get them out or to shift their mindset, but they don't know how to shift their body energy. And so in our work, and so I have a client that's been going through a lot of trauma, and it's just now that he's willing to talk about it. But we're doing things a bit differently, in which I'm working with him in the now, because I'm not working with him as an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker, which is what I am. I'm working with him as a holistic practitioner. And what separates that is we more focus on what's happening now. We're not diving and staying in the past, although we talk about it. We focus on what's happening now, what are the patterns he's finding, and then working through those while giving him new tips and techniques. And then with the trauma work, we do energy based. So I focus in on what's happened. I take him back in his mind to the situation that's causing distress, that's blocked in his body. And then using energy work, we help to shift it, to move it without him having to process it, go back, or even stay in the trauma, which a lot of people struggle and really don't want to do. And that's totally fine. Through energy work, we're able to get that trauma out much faster so that whenever they think about it, they're not connected emotionally to the memory. It's more like, oh yeah, like I saw that scene back in my life, not a big deal. Whereas now, if you're traumatized by it, you go back and you're like, you're almost either caught in fight, flight, or even freeze response, and your body tenses up or you become aggressive, or you become like you want to run away. Any kind of these sensations happen because you go back into a memory that your brain thinks is actually still happening.
That's really fascinating. Thank you for kind of breaking that down to understand what's happening, to me and to others. You said something I want to understand, because I've had, in-person Reiki sessions, but you said you can do it virtually. Is there a difference between what happens virtually and in person? What can people expect with a virtual energetic session?
Right. What's missing from a virtual is the touch, right? And sometimes even in-person sessions, we don't do hands-on. It really depends on the person, or at least I do. I always do a biosyn scan, which is scanning of the energy or the aura of a person, in person and virtual. So if I'm in person and I feel a resistance, I'm not putting hands on that person. Because if I put hands on that person, even in a virtual way, that's impeding your personal space, and you feel it. You're like, ugh, right? And then people actually like jump or shock because they feel somebody's coming into their energy space and they don't want, subconsciously, they don't want it. Right? Consciously, like, yeah, come on in. Subconscious, like, oh no, you go away. And that happens a lot, right? More than we're in awareness. So virtually, I do the same process. I explain to the person, just like I'm explaining to you, what's going to happen in the session. You may feel my energy moving over you. You may feel tightness, tension, or even pain. You may notice that you start laughing or you start crying, all of these different sensations. So if the person is laying down in a way or sitting down with the camera looking at them, I prefer that, but I don't need it. I do have some of my clients that they just prefer audio, which is fine. I just like to look at their body reactions, because with energy, it just moves and shifts. And sometimes they don't tell me when they are experiencing a pain or a discomfort. They just ride through it. But if I can see it, I can see them tense up, be like, okay, what's coming up for you right now? Sometimes I can pick up from it virtually, but it's a little bit more challenging because I'm so concentrated maybe in one area, I might miss that jump. But again, with Reiki, this is what's really beautiful, is that I'm not doing this by myself. I have a team of spiritual guides that tell me where to go, what to do, what information to pass on to the client. For example, I was working with someone virtually, and I get to her left leg. No, excuse me, sorry. Her right, no, yeah, I was right. Her left leg, because it was a couple of areas, but her left foot actually, and I could feel pain. And I asked her, is there anything going on for you? And she's like, no. Oh, what? And I was like, okay, well, the left side of the body is the feminine. So if there's things that are blocked or in pain there, it's usually related to a sister, a mother, a grandmother, somebody on the feminine side. And so I asked her, is there anyone that you're having a challenge with that's a female? And she said, well, my mother is coming into town, and I'm worried about what we're going to do. So the foot represents the root chakra. So when I work on people, I work on balancing the chakras, because that's where we hold a lot of our energies. And then I explain what that means, usually more after the session. I talk about what came up, what chakras were blocked, what I noticed. And sometimes in virtual sessions, people don't necessarily feel everything that I feel, but that's because they're not used to feeling it, because it could be so subtle. But again, as an energy healer and a Reiki practitioner, I feel those subtle energies much more.
That's really great and very cool, and very cool that you're able to do all of that virtually. That's really amazing, and I really appreciate the way that you described it and the way that you work with people. I'm going through my mind, the questions that are coming up for me about, the ways that it works. You mentioned if people aren't sharing with you what they're experiencing in their body, do you ask them to talk with you? Like, give me a little bit more of like what this session looks like in terms of expectations, how much communication, how much energy, where all of those sorts of things, and whether it changes, whether you're just, it could be any of that. Give me a little bit of a sense of how it flows for you.
Of course. So again, focusing on the virtual session, because that's more likely what people will be receiving from me using this platform. We always begin with like a 20-minute discussion. What's going on? What brought you here? How can I support you? That's that story. Like every time we talk about our pain, our discomfort, right? Somebody doesn't necessarily come to Reiki just because they want an oil change, right? They normally, or an energy change, they normally come to Reiki because there's a stressful situation in their life. They're having problems with loved ones. They're having problems at work. They feel imbalanced. They don't feel okay. Something is off, right? These are very typical words. They feel stuck. They don't know what to do. They're discombobulated. It's more my word than their words, but that's usually what I'm like, oh, you feel discombobulated. Yes, that's so it. And so once they talk it out, that helps because it raises up the subconscious energy. So now it's a little bit more clear what I'm going to be working on, even though they still have no idea. And so as they're laying down or sitting down, I have in front of me either a teddy bear that I use or a mat. And then depending again, what they say and what their struggles are depends on how deep we're going to go. And so with the mat, it's like a human grid. And then I place a lot of crystals on there, as well as placing the crystals like as I align with the chakras. So if somebody says, okay, I want a chakra balance, that's exactly what I want. I'm going to do the larger grid where I place all the crystals, the chakra crystals in lined, and then I scan the body to find those energetic blocks. I make notes so I can go back to it and then I work. In regards to your question, do I speak through it? It really depends on each person. Some people are knocked out and I can see it or I can hear it through how they're breathing, because they become so relaxed and calm. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you, but I'll make notes and then we talk about it afterwards. But, or like for the example I gave earlier, the person that had an issue with her foot, she didn't feel it, but I did. So I do say, okay, I'm over your left foot right now. What are you feeling right in this moment? Sometimes they say, I feel warmth, I feel a tickling, I feel like pins and needles, or I don't feel anything at all, right? That could be fine. It's like, okay, well, what I'm picking up is, what I know of the chakras, what I know from what side of the body it is. And then again, I'm channeling information from my spirit guides who are giving me insight. It's not a lot of information that I'm giving because, again, the focus is more, let me help release blocked energy. And then once we finish that part of the energetic work, we come back and we talk about their experience. What was that like for you? What came up for you? No matter how random or how different or how weird, because sometimes people have a lot of thoughts, but they're of something very consistent, right? An argument they had with someone, or they just thought about their mother who they hadn't thought about in a long time. Different things like that. I'm like, that's important because, again, that's your subconscious raising up energy. So we talk about it, and then I usually give them at least 1 or 2 activities that can help them continue processing or to cleanse their energy.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. So it's cool to hear the whole process. How long does that whole process or session go?
So the full session is 1 hour. So we spend, again, some time in the beginning talking, and then we do the work virtually, and then another 10 minutes or so talking at the end. So a full hour. Sometimes we bleed a little bit over, again, depending on the person. When they're Spanish speakers, they normally bleed over because Spanish speakers, we have a tendency of talking a lot.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So I guess, and you tell me when you're doing like multiple sessions with people, you're either going deeper on the same things or you're going to different topics, or what does it look like over time for people that are doing like a number of sessions with you?
Yeah, great question. So when people buy packages, it's because they have something specific they want to work through. Let's say getting over a relationship, somebody they just broke up with. They want to not only get over this person, but make sure that they don't keep attracting the same kind of person. So sometimes we do past life regressions to find out how far back this pattern goes. We also work on the mindset of, because again, I bring in the coaching. What was it that attracted them to this person, right? Is it the type of codependency? They wanted to take care of them. They saw them in need, or they wanted to be taken care of, right? I mean, there's a balance of that. We all want to be taken care of in one way or another. We want to be nurtured. That's we want to feel connected with another person, but sometimes we go a little bit too deep when, let's say, we've been single for a long time and the one person starts giving us attention. We're like, oh, thank gosh, okay, let's go, give me attention. Yes, you are the person. And they miss every red flag. I don't want to say excuse me, they ignore the majority of things that they normally wouldn't, because they're in this space of desperation, a place of lack or scarcity. And so I help clear that energy. And a lot of times people either go get into a relationship, a healthy relationship pretty soon after, or with someone else, or even with themselves, where they say, you know, I am okay on my own. It'd be nice to have a partner. It's okay to be on my own. Whereas in the past, they would not be able to say that. They were really fearful about being alone, because then they would think, oh, I'm going to be alone forever. And so now they're more in a place of acceptance. And when you're in a place of acceptance, that's where that partner actually shows up when we least expect it. Because we're like, if he shows up, great. If not, great. I'm totally fine the way I am. And then boom, that person shows up and you're like, where'd you come from? And then we actually get like, oh my goodness, I'm not ready for a relationship. Because this person is too good to be true, right? And so preparing for that, helping that person through that process. So this may take, I have packages, 4 sessions to process this. And again, this also entails not only a partner relationship, in this example, with a partner, but also relationships with others. Like, are they struggling with family members? Are they struggling with colleagues, with friends, right? These are all patterns of connection. And so it's important to start breaking them through so that they feel better.
That's really great. It's really great the way that you described all that. And so many things are going through my head. I have to make sure I'm remembering the different things I want to say now. There's a few. The first thing, one, before I forget, I'll just mention it, is you mentioned past life regression. I didn't know you do that. So I want to get like a whole bunch of all the different things that you do. But also going back to where you were saying, you know, supporting people that are experiencing lack. It just triggered a whole bunch of things. So it just made me think of the fact that, so basically you're people who are in that space experiencing lack in finances or relationships or satisfaction in life or whatever, those are all people that you can support, because it's coming back to the different ways that you're supporting people. Is that right?
Exactly, because these are all trauma responses. So let's say emotional scarcity, right? I fear I'm not going to find someone who's worthy of me, if they're even able to say that, right? Some people have low self-esteem. They're like, well, I'm not worthy, so I'm going to keep attracting people that will hurt me, because that's what I'm worthy of, right? And so this is subconscious programming that, again, by the time they come to me, so people who come to me usually are lost on their path. They want to connect more spiritually. They want to feel connected to others. They feel numb. They feel pain or tension, right? Again, and these are people who are attracted to me, are helpers, are givers, who always give more than enough to others, yet have a lot of struggle in receiving, because they feel that if they receive, they're selfish, they're asking too much, or they're not worthy. So a lot of this comes from, let's say, an example, you know, one of my clients was just telling me the other day that since he was a little kid, he had a lot of issues with anxiety. So I help him break that down. When did it start? What was going on around you? Who was listening to you? Who was supporting you? Who was ignoring you? Who was scaring you? Because anxiety is a fear of something, right? Whether real or not. And he had a lot of anxiety as a child because he was going to private school. And it was a Catholic school, to be exact, in another country. And he was terrified of his teachers because they would threaten to hit him or actually physically hit him. So he didn't want to go to school. He would put up a big fight about it, but his mom was like, nope, you're gonna go. And it wasn't until he finally left that school that he began to thrive. He got really good grades. He started to make friends, right? But in this school, he was isolated. He was lonely. He was scared, right? And so it developed into anxiety that would show up more at home than anywhere else. And so things that are happening now can be traced back not only to your personal childhood, but for example, another thing that he was saying is that his mom was very anxious because she was constantly looking for work. She was a single mom. She was worried. Well, guess what? As children, we absorb all that. And then we carry it on subconsciously of, I now have to provide for her. I'm the only one that can take care of her. I can't leave her. I can't move away, subconsciously. And then consciously, we start self-sabotaging anything that can help us become independent. Because again, of all of these connections, and there's so many, and I don't say this to like frighten you, like, oh my gosh, I'm so messed up. The cool thing again about energy work is that we're able to find those ties a lot easier. And then I work with you through cord cutting to let them go. So let's say you want to let go of a connection to an ex-partner. That's totally fine. It doesn't mean that you're going to totally forget this partner, but you're going to disconnect that emotional connection that's really holding you tight to that partner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I totally understand and appreciate that. It's bringing some memories back of different cord cuttings that I did and different things. So I totally get it. And it brought me back as you were saying that to the realization of what you said, that because you're working on an energetic level, you don't necessarily have to go back and rehash all of the stuff that created it all, right? You could just get to fixing it, to healing it, right?
Correct.
So I really like that aspect of it. There's so much going on in my mind right now from everything that you've shared. So I'll keep processing, and I'm sure I'll come up with different things I want to ask and stuff. But I just want to see what else is in your mind that you think that you'd like to keep sharing.
Yeah, so one thing that a lot of people come to me and ask is Reiki or energy healing against any religion? And it's not. We, as energy practitioners, like I said, yes, I connect with spirit guides, but those spirit guides are like angels. They're light workers. We all have some kind of guide. How we want to resonate with them, it really depends. For example, in some religions, they pray to a specific deity or various deities, and they receive messages from those deities. Those are spirit guides, right? In that form of a deity. Or if somebody is like, okay, I don't believe in all that, that's totally fine. That's my belief. It doesn't need to be passed on to you. However, with energy healing or even coaching, whatever you want to share and to release, again, it doesn't have to be about, you don't have to believe anything that I do. As long as you say, yes, I'm open to receiving it, then you allow your free will to basically energetically open to let go. And a lot of clients who, like I sometimes do in-person events, or even actually I do monthly free virtual Reiki shares once a month, where I invite anybody. I'm like, come experience Reiki, experience a meditation. And what's cool is that because we're in a group setting, we go deeper, faster, And everybody walks away feeling much better and much more calm. And they're always like, wow, that was amazing. What'd you do? I just shifted energy. And anyone can do it. It just depends on the training that you receive. Because, and I say training, a lot of us know how to do this. Maybe we were born with this gift, but if you're not given the opportunity to practice or have a mentor or coach to support you, and like, yes, what you're experiencing is real, what you're doing is real, this is okay. A lot of people are like, no, 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 don't, that's too weird for me, or I'm scared, which really at the end of the day, it's fear of not being able to see, which is what's happening a lot with technology. It's scaring a lot of people within right, and because we can't see all of the transformations happening very quickly. We can't manage it, so it causes a lot of anxiety and fear.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Which I guess, in a sense, as I'm thinking about it, this explosion of what artificial intelligence is going to do to our society is like a boon for your business. A lot of anxiety getting created out in the world of all the jobs that are going to be lost and all the disruption that's going to be happening in the world. I'm saying it as I'm hadn't connected the dots that you're somebody that people can seek out as they're having all of these challenges, because we've talked about it in certain ways, but as I'm continuing to think about the books that I'm writing, I'm really thinking about directly addressing, like, this is the way that your world can look, by embracing these different things, as opposed to, the way I kind of look at it to a certain degree. And it sounds like this is, almost like exactly what you're doing is like, if there's a tsunami that's, going to crash over us, that we have the opportunity to, instead of get swamped by that wave, to ride that wave, right? To be able to be on top of it and empowered and surfing it to our future, rather than getting tumbled by the wave over and over and smashed and all of that, right? So that's really awesome. I really appreciate how you shared that, and it's helping me get a clearer picture of how you're supporting people and where you're going with people in order to support them. What other aspects would you like to share?
Yeah, so that's for people, let's say, like caregivers, therapists, professionals, kind of like you said, the tsunami is a really good example, because let's say, okay, the tsunami hit, then what, right? Then caregivers, first responders are out on the field giving first aid, helping, but all of that is coming through vicarious trauma. They're seeing all of this pain and suffering, and they're carrying that. So one of the ways that I help caregivers, first responders, other therapists, is I teach Reiki. I teach it in different levels. And the first level is always about for self-care. What are you doing for yourself? How are you putting on your oxygen mask before you give it to somebody else? And with Reiki, it's a tool that you can use no matter what. So when you notice yourself starting to dysregulate, you can self-regulate with self-Reiki. So that's one of the tools. And actually, and hopefully by the time this all gets up and running, I'm creating a program specifically for Reiki practitioners to help reawaken the healer within them, right? So everybody who came to learn Reiki want to be a healer of some sort. But because, again, maybe they didn't have that accountability, the coaching, the support system, or the mentor, they stopped practicing. They ran out of time. They weren't sure how to implement into their lives. And so the program that I'll be launching is a mentorship program to help Reiki practitioners bring that gift back into their lives, see how it is that they can awaken their intuition or reawaken or listen to it. Because that's really like the intuition is always talking to you. It's up to us to listen to our intuition. And so I also process with them about what happened that caused them to lose their Reiki practice. How can they bring it back into like a daily self-care practice? What are other techniques that they can implement Reiki into? For example, if they do yoga, or if they are a therapist or a doctor or a nurse, what can they do for themselves and the people that they work with? So that's that program, because kind of like you're helping us as entrepreneurs with these special or specific support systems with technology, helping us get out there, right? As entrepreneurs, these might be things that I don't really think about or put a lot of energy into, right? We all have our specific skill set. And so whether you're coming simply to receive, I have services for that. Whether you're coming to learn Reiki, I have classes for that that will certify you. And whether you've already learned Reiki and want to up level or bring back that magic that you did, like that first time you took the class, I have a program for that.
That's awesome. That's really helps to kind of lay out all the different programs that you have and who you're helping to support. It's really great. And I appreciate that you've developed the whole realm of that. That's really cool. Yeah, different things are going through my head, but I want to let you keep going while you're on a roll. So what other aspects would you like to share?
Yeah, and so for those who are like, okay, I'm not ready to invest, that's not something a path. I have a lot of offerings where you can always visit my website and you see the upcoming events, either in person, I do retreats, or virtually once a week, every Wednesday on either my Instagram, or not either, but on my Instagram, on Zoom, in our Facebook community, the Reiki Infused Self-Care, at 11 a.m. Eastern, I go live and do a Reiki infused meditation for 15 minutes. So you can come in, plug in live at that time or catch it later, and you'll still get to receive.
And do you
So
charge
I also
for that?
no,
Or is it free? No, it's totally free.
That's free. I just want people to come in to receive. Another way, also at the end of the month, either a Saturday or Sunday, kind of depending on what my schedule lies. But I also do another like free through Zoom, a virtual Reiki share. So that's also free, open to anybody who's curious, who wants to know about Reiki, wants to receive Reiki. So those are a couple of free offerings on my website. I also have free and YouTube channel, a bunch of the Reiki infused guided meditations. So if you just want to receive the meditations and receive Reiki, that is totally cool. If you want to go in for deeper work and with support, then that's what I'm here for.
That's amazing. It's so awesome. It's so great to know that. I didn't know those things. So you've got those entry paths for people to experience a little bit with you, get a sense of what it's like, and then go deeper with you, afterwards. That's really wonderful. I'm glad to know about those, and glad we get to highlight those and feature those entry points for you. So that's really wonderful. Cool. Good to know about that. What else is there to share?
Yeah, so just the last one is I also co-created a self-care on-demand community where The first week is free, so you get to test it out. If you like it, it's like about $10 a month, but it's unlimited or whatever we have up on there: yoga, meditation, journey dance, movement, different time slots. So you're like, I want to work on my hips today. Okay, let me find a yoga. And you'll have me and my other business partner, Libby, who's doing the yoga. I do the meditation. And so we just bring in together. And so it's one place where you get to be. So might just forfeit 1 or 2 cups of Starbucks coffee and come and enjoy that on demand that you get to see from your phone. You get to access it from your phone. You get to access it from your computer. It is all good. So those are the offerings that I have. Anytime that you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm the one that answers my emails. I'm the one that answers the direct messages on social media, because I know we're all human and we all want that connection. So you know that you'll be speaking directly to me when I respond.
Awesome. That's so cool. That's really great to hear the whole like realm of everything that you're offering. And I want to have you, I don't know if you've got it all off the top of your head, but again, when you mentioned past life regression before, and I didn't know that that was something that you did, if you have like a whole list of different therapies or modalities, or yeah.
Yeah, of course. So I do, yeah, like I mentioned, past life regression. I do cord cutting. I'm also a theta healer. What else? Meditation coach, mindfulness. I do color therapy and crystals. So if you have questions on best type of crystal for what, I'll be able to support you with that. Essential oils. I have, my awareness, and then I can connect you with people who have crystals, essential oils, things like that. So I'm also a really good connector. If you need something, I'm sure I know someone, and then just refer out. So other techniques, again, Usui Reiki, as well as Unitarian Reiki practitioner, licensed clinical social worker, holistic coach. And like I said, my main area of focus is stress and trauma. So I'm constantly learning new techniques like somatic therapy, internal family systems, even though that's more therapy based going into that. The thematic, I'm also a journey dance facilitator. So I use movement, music, and meditation to help you get out of your head and into your body. And I guide you through that using words and using ideas of how to move your body. But again, they're always invitations. You are the one that guides yourself.
That's really awesome. While I'm thinking of it, for the journey dance, you do that with, I imagine you do that with groups and with individuals.
I do that primarily with groups. Right. I do them with groups, like I might do in person here in Miami. In a couple of years, I'm going to be moving to Colombia, so I'll be doing it there as well. I do it at our retreats. I do 1-day retreats for Reiki practitioners. I do weekend retreats for anybody who wants to come for self-care. And we also do international adventure retreats.
Awesome. And I know of a couple off the top of my head that I don't think you just mentioned, like the color therapy and the chakra balancing and healing. Any other ones to add in there?
So, I mean, with the chakra balancing, that can entail both in person or virtual, bringing in, yeah, I even add crystals into my virtual sessions, color therapy into my virtual sessions, because all of that is through intention. So yeah, those are all that come up top of mind that I do. At the end of the day, these are all different modalities. to help promote inner peace, inner balance, and an overall feeling good within oneself.
That's awesome. That's really, really great. We covered so much good stuff. Do you feel like we captured everything you wanted to, or is there more?
I believe we captured everything in a nutshell.
We'll keep adding to it, of course, along the way. It'll keep organically growing, but I think we've got a lot of, good stuff down to really have the foundation. And, I kept at times where you would go and say something in my mind, I was like, oh, this is going to be a great, clip, this part and this part. So
Yeah.
there's definitely some key, clips in there where you get into different things. So I'm really excited to work with it all. The video on my
I'm
side.
excited that you're taking care of that. I'm like, I'll talk. I'm not one. You go create that magic because I'm
Yeah. Which reminds me, I wanted to ask you because as I'm going to start to do it tonight, tomorrow, the next few days, I'm going to be integrating working on your work with the development I'm doing right now within the website. I'm developing the branches right now, which is great timing, and I'm about to do the tags and the channels. And I want to get a lot of the content from today, divided up and put into the system. I want to have the beginnings of it, for some meeting that we have next week, whenever it's good for you, or the following week if you need to push it off. But also the pieces that you just provided in terms of what we have to work with. I want to figure out how much like of a back and forth you want to have about what I'm putting together. I want to have it be interactive because I'll have choices of where to put my attention, right? We want to make sure that we're most efficiently and most effectively using the time. So I want to like cut it up in like a, very 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there on the big level, but then I want to dive in deeper at a more minute level, 30-second clip here, or pulling several clips together and editing them together. Those are the more sophisticated ways that we start to process things. We're spending more time tagging things. So I'm trying to think of it, and I think it's just going to be I'll start at the most, top level and show you as I'm thinking about, kind of like processing in real time as I'm talking. I want to show you, get feedback, show you, get feedback, show you, get feedback, so that, again, the way that I'm using the time is most in alignment with your objectives and what you want to get out of the time, I think, right? So part of it too is how much do you want me to just do it, and how much do you want me to show you what I'm doing and train you on what I'm doing so that you'll be doing it next time. That's part of it all along the way, right? And like I've shared, whether it's with, let's just use like the video editing as an example, and the thought creation and the thought branches, like each one of those, I'm going to create a tutorial video, which won't be very different from you and I having a conversation about it, right? But again, with the tutorial video, then you're able to just watch that, and that's not taking consulting time, right? So it's it's you kind of deciding for yourself, how much will I just wait for the video, or how much, do I want to have Jared spend one-on-one time showing me this type of thing? You get what I'm saying?
I want to, I mean, I know I have like few hours of your time, so I'd rather save them for like, all right, really good teachable moments. So I trust you. I know I'm good to go. So you can do your magic. I mean, that's kind of like I know there's probably like some things to just like find mute, edit, and be like, oh, there she goes with that. Let me just like cut that out. But this is good. I really enjoyed like breaking it down into different pieces, the communication, and just, yeah, I can wait until you're done with the masterpiece and be like, and here we go.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I appreciate the freedom with it, with all of that. That's really wonderful. Do you have a day that you're thinking of that you want to set for our next meeting for me to share? Well, we'll see, depending on when you want to do it, where I'm at with it. I think what I'm imagining is, in my mind right now, bringing it down maybe something like into 2-hour chunks, and to do 2 hours of work and then get some feedback from you via WhatsApp, and then do another 2 hours and get some feedback from you, and then do another 2 hours and get some feedback from you, and then have our meeting where I present everything to you basically, and then we talk about next steps from there. So how does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. And if you want to shift it in any other way as you move forward, to be like, okay, where is your time and our time like really more well spent? Because like you said, eventually you're going to be creating these tutorials, and if you want to use the tutorials while you're, using, work coaching me through it, that way you're not having to duplicate it so much. That's fine too. So we can do that like in real version or real time or whatever. I can't even talk anymore. I think I'm like,
No, I totally appreciate it. That's great. And yes, we will definitely see which parts we can use.
yeah. So I would say, I mean, I'm good. Either like Thursdays work pretty good. I'm not, pretty good, or Thursdays are a little bit lighter for me. So for me, either the 22nd or the 29th
Okay,
of this
cool.
month.
Cool. So
So if
I'm
you want to just work on it and let me know, or if you want to block something now, what works?
okay, cool. Let me pause the video while we work this out. Okay, great. So we're all set with that. So yeah, I'm excited to see where we can go with all of this, and what we can create. I really appreciate you being a pioneer, like we talked about, and I really honor the work that you're doing with people and for people. So I'm really excited to support you in all the ways that I can. So excited to see what we're going to create.
I know, me too. I'm super excited. Love the idea of being a first or being a pioneer, and just knowing what it's, gosh, gonna be like from now, being little and then just seeing it grow, and just, I love the idea that it's virtual, because I know that that's the path I'm moving or been moving on. And with my move to Colombia, that's going to really expand it even more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I'm glad we're meeting in this moment, the perfect moment for us to be connecting, of course. Thank you, universe, for the divine orchestration.
Yep. Yep, exactly. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Always an honor to work and speak with you, and look forward to our next meeting.
Me too. Thank you so much, Paty. Great to be with you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.